Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today, I'm gonna be giving you part 3 of What If Naruto was exiled from the Otsutsuki clan. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends in social media platform. And also guys, stay tuned for the rest of what ifs coming your way over on Anime King and Anime King 2. If you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support, and yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off, as Naruto was currently at the Uzumaki clan, as Kagami had been gracious enough to let Naruto stay there. Kagami and the Uzumaki clan had took in other people that lost their ways, that wanted a fresh start, as both Naruto and Kagami spoke to each other, as Naruto told Kagami more about where he came from, as Naruto told him that his parents were known as the betrayers. That is a term that was used for people who renounced their clan and leave. His people were hard to die by old age. It would take a long time. And not to mention their immense power, it was hard for anyone else to kill them, given the fact that they went around planets and planting a seed so that they could gain the power of the God Tree. As Naruto never said the names of his parents. But he had to fight. As a house that he was a part of, everyone else renounced from that house after his parents decided to become the betrayers. So Naruto had to fight Momoshiki's entire house. So he fought everyone else before he fought Momoshiki in the last. Him and Momoshiki never have a full match where the both of them were fresh because Naruto had put his body through a lot fighting the other members including Kinshiki and Yorishiki. Despite everything, Naruto was strong, immensely so. But Momoshiki won in the end and he gave Naruto that nasty scar right over his eye. As Kagami told him that he needed a fresh start, he could stay here for the time being as Naruto was grateful for that. The next morning as Kagami, as his daughter, Kushina, she was kidnapped. Lucy, another Uzumaki, was allowed to come back. The Kaguya members had sent her back. A lot of people in this world they desperately wanted the Fuinjutsu that Uzumakis possessed. Kagami, loving his people and especially his daughter, would give his life in a heartbeat, but Naruto told him not to worry about anything. As Mito was also there, as she wondered where was her big sister, as Naruto took Lucy with him. As he made his way and found the members, he was shocked when he heard the name Kaguya. Something about it seemed to disturb Naruto, as he asked them about their lineage but they did not know so far into the past. As Naruto rescued Kushina and the others, as he created a ridge so they could not see, as they heard chaos down below, as Naruto emerged minutes later without even a scratch. When they arrived, Kagami was about to set out. After all, he would give his life up in a heartbeat. But Naruto told him that he has nothing to worry about. After hearing how this stranger addressed her father, Kushina didn't really like it. But he saved her life and she was grateful for that. But he kept on calling her father old man. Kushina was supposed to be the next heiress of the clan, as she was going to be the one to rule next after her father passed on, as she was getting more in depth into her Uzumaki studies. After that, Naruto kept his promise as Madara realized that Naruto was just making a fresh start, and he was going to train them because he was bored basically. As Naruto told them that he would not intervene in their problems, that wasn't his thing to do. He wouldn't fight their wars, he wouldn't fight their battles, but he would just watch and see how everything would turn out. And besides, if he helped them, they should be strong enough to quell this world war and everything that they wanted. So that is exactly what he was gonna do. And that is what he did as he began their training. So yeah guys, was basically that's what I thought of you guys again. Switch across the place, check out for yourself, so we'll see in this new episode. Father, I've returned, said Hoshirama, as he stood in front of his father, who was currently in a seated position with his eyes closed. His father slowly opened his eyes. His father, the head of the Senju clan, Batsuma Senju. How did things go today? Batsuma asked as he looked at his son. I got a lot of work done. As Batsuma looked over Hoshirama. I can see from your stance you are exhausted. Yes, father. Well, go to your resting quarters, Batsuma said. Tomorrow there's a mission that you will need to undertake. Hoshirama nodded as he left. As Batsuma narrowed his eyes. A few seconds later, Tobirama, Hoshirama's younger brother, entered the room. Father. As he looked towards his father, have you ever been with your brother training? As Tobirama shook his head no. Tomorrow your brother will be going on a mission, and the next day I want you to follow him. Make sure that you're not found, and see what kind of training he's doing out there by himself. But why, father? Do not question my orders, Batsuma said. You will do as you're told. Understood? And do not tell Hoshirama about this. The man said in a stern tone. As Tobirama nodded. Good, you're dismissed. Tobirama left, leaving Batsuma by himself. As Batsuma had no idea what Hoshirama was doing out there alone. But in the past 6 months, the boy has shown incredible growth. His speed, his strength, his flexibility, his reflex time, everything has grown incredible. And Batsuma would like to know what kind of solo training his son was doing out there alone. It has been 6 months since Naruto undertook both Hoshirama and Madara's training, and they have grown exponentially, so much so that their leaders are starting to suspect something. Same for Madara. Elder brother, said Aizen as he rushed up to his elder brother. As Madara looked worn out, he looked tired. Are you okay? Yes. Just a difficult day of training. As Madara smiled, his only younger brother left. The younger brother that he swore to protect with everything that he have, no matter what happened to him. As Madara looked quite worn out. The training with Naruto wasn't normal, because he did not hold back on them. And Madara saw what Naruto's escape bluff, and it was frightening. It scared him to the depths of his soul. Elder brother? Sorry about that, said Madara, as he realized he was letting his fright show on his face. I will go inform father of return. What about our... not today? Aizen. Maybe tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow, he said with a smile. You promise? As he nodded. As Aizen nodded, Madara made his way off. Tajima, Uchiha, the leader of the Uchiha clan, was there as Madara entered. Madara, you took a longer while, said Tajima as he looked towards his eldest son. Sorry, father. My training took a bit longer today. Well, over the past 6 months you have grown exponentially, so I will not question your training. You look quite exhausted. You may go to your sleeping quarters if you may. As Madara nodded as he made his way off. Tajima got to his feet as he walked out, making his way as he came to a stop right in front of his youngest son that remained. Father, said Aizen, the next time Madara go out for his training, you will follow him. As Aizen looked shocked, but father, do not question me. Your brother has grown exponentially in the past 6 months, and I would like to know what he's doing out there on his own, since every time I ask him, he tells me that he's doing normal training. But this doesn't make any sense. Aizen knew that he could not disobey his father, even for his brother's sake, as the stern look that his father gave him scared him. Do you understand me? Aizen nodded. He would follow Madara, but he would make sure if it was anything bad, he wouldn't tell his father. He loved his brother more than his father, so it didn't matter what his father say or do. If his brother was doing something that would get him in trouble with the clan, he would not tell. In fact, he would help Madara. As with that, Tajima walked off. Later that day, Kushina, I was twitching as she turned behind her. What do you want? She asked. Standing behind her was none other than Naruto himself, as he was looking over her shoulder, looking at the book that she was reading. You know that most people around here call you a bookworm, right? Well, in a fun sort of way, but they're not wrong, said Naruto. What? As she looked towards him. You need to lighten up, said Naruto with a smile. Studying all the time will make you a dull. I'm supposed to be the next leader of the clan. I don't have time to lighten up. Why not, said Naruto. Because I'm going to lead the pristine Uzumaki clan in the future, and I want to be as great as my father. I'm sure you will be, said Naruto, but doing this all the time, and not taking much rest. Are you sure this is good for your health? What do you know about health, she asks. As Naruto raised hand in defense. Look, I'm not trying to start trouble, he said. Okay then, be quiet, she said. As he sat down, she spun around. What, said Naruto. What do you want, she asked. Just got curious, Naruto said. She sighed as she got to her feet, as she walked over towards a bookshelf, pulling out the book as she threw it towards him as he caught it. If you're curious, learn. As Naruto flipped open the book, Basics on Fuinjutsu, Level 1. So this is your special Fuinjutsu, said Naruto, that your clan is famous for. I don't really see the allure for seals. Don't you dare mock our clan art, she said. The usage of seals are the best in this world. There's nothing else above it. What about speed and strength, said Naruto. And what if I seal away your speed and strength? How exactly are you gonna fight me, she asks. Touché, said Naruto. But what if I get to you before you get to me? I could still throw in the air with seals and then you wouldn't be able to stop me. Is that so? I see I'm not gonna win on this one with you, said Naruto. Of course you cannot, said Kushina. Seals is the best, and there's nothing above it, she said. So you believe one of your little seals can stop me, Naruto asked. She got to her feet, that challenging look on her face. Of course, she said. Well then. As Naruto stepped forward, let's see you try it. She smirked, are you sure? As Naruto simply nodded, as she was happy. For the past 6 months, well, he has not been a nuisance, but he was just different. He got along well with her younger sister, Mito, and he got along well with her father, always calling her father old man, and not to mention Takashi and the others. He got along well with them, because he was nice, but she just couldn't get along with him that well. He was always trying to invade her personal space, always making jokes, always laughing. For someone like her who was basically a stick in the mud, it was hard for them to build a friendship. But this was her chance to show him that his superior strength could not stand against Seal. Lay it on me, said Naruto as he extended his arms to the side. Her fingers started to glow. She did not need ink and a brush. She could use her chakra, as she quickly inscribed a seal right on his chest, right on his clothing. But it seemed to pass through his clothing and lodge right onto his chest. Immediately, Naruto dropped to his knees, as he felt the unusual pressure settle over him. And just like that, a weight seal added with a suppression seal. She moved forward. She wasn't much of a physical fighter, so when she punched him slightly, it looked rather cute, as Naruto simply laughed. Well, finally admitting defeat, she said, but you're laughing it off as you lose. I must say, your seals are good, said Naruto, but it still does not compare. As she looked confused, she felt the unusual presence swallow up the entire room. It wasn't shaking or it wasn't going out of control, but the presence was unending. She felt a well of chakra open up. She watched as steam came from Naruto's chest as a seal was burned off as Naruto got up to his feet. As you see, I can circulate my chakra through my body at certain points, so I just use it to overwhelm your seal. It was strong, but not strong enough. So finally ready to admit that your seal cannot hurt me, said Naruto. Well, if I had put in more effort, and if I had prep time, and not to mention if I had other Uzumakis, we could have sealed you away for a very, very long time. A seal like not even you could break. Well, perhaps if you had everyone, said Naruto, perhaps you could do that. But I will eventually break out. Nothing can really hold me, he said. Especially your small little seals. Stop insulting my seals, she said. As Naruto simply laughed, she huffed and crossed her arms like a child, as she turned her head. As she was looking at him. "I'm sorry," said Naruto. "I didn't mean to make you angry." "Not talking to me now," said Naruto. As Naruto stepped in front of her and poked her nose, she simply turned around. So he picked up her book. As she heard footsteps, she turned. As he was gone. "Damn it, damn it, damn it," she shouted as he ran through the window and he was gone. Suddenly, the door opened up as her little sister came in. "Kushina, what's going on?" "That bastard took my book." As Mito simply laughed. "He probably did it so you can come and play with me. And don't study all the times." "Do you think I study too much?" asked Kushina as she looked towards Mito. "Well, I love you, but yes. Even father agreed with me. But I just want to be as great as him. I want to lead this clan into happiness and uphold everything my father does. Father does not push war. He pushed peace and he was able to maintain it for so long. And I want to do the same. But you're already getting there, sister. You just need time. Besides, we're still kids. And father has a long time before he retire. So you still have time." "Perhaps you're right. But I still don't like him." As she looked towards the window. "Why not?" said Mito. "He's really nice. Not to mention, he took me flying." "What?" "Yeah, I asked him. He put me on his shoulders and he flew. The feeling was so amazing he flew straight up in the air and flew around. If you ask him, I believe he will take you flying as well." "I'm no longer a child, Mito. I don't need to be take flying. Besides, that doesn't sound as awesome as you say." But inside of her heart, she really wanted to go flying. "That sounds amazing to have the wind rushing through your hair." "You don't know what you're missing, big sister," said Mito. "Come on." "What are we gonna do?" asked Kushina. "Sister bonding time," said Mito, as she took her away. Meanwhile, on the roof, as Naruto was flipping through the book, these seals are really powerful. Some things that he read were really amazing. As he flipped and continued to flip, reading as he did, he looked towards his fingers as he started to glow, as chakra was on the tip of his fingers, as he wrote in the air, trying to mimic the seal that he saw in the book. But Naruto got one of the lines wrong, and as sealers appeared in the air, it surrounded him and it attached to his body. As the seal started to glow, "Shit," said Naruto as he vanished. A far distance away, as Naruto reappeared in a burst of speed, the seal went off. A seismic explosion that swallowed an entire sizable mountain peak. Coughing could be heard as Naruto stepped out of the smoke, blew it away from his face. A few scratches on him, but nothing to cause him any harm. "Whoa," he said as he looked around. He dismissed this art at first, but perhaps it was better than he thought. Time skip. Hashirama had some sort of mission, and Madara promised his younger brother something, so they got the day off. At the moment, Naruto was currently sitting by himself, his eyes closed, as he wasn't doing anything. But around him there was 3 seals activated, as Naruto was not moving. Throughout the past 6 months, he was able to learn a lot of things. Even though he taught them, he also learned a lot of things as well. They used hand signs to make their jutsus. But the remarkable thing about their abilities was, they could twist their fire, water, or earth into something else. Unlike him who just used fire, earth, water, and wind, they could twist it into something like a dragon, or something else, and it was really remarkable. Over the past 6 months, Naruto has been trying to find out who was the Otsutsuki that landed on his planet, but he was unable to get anything much. The old man did tell him that a man known as Sage of Six Paths was the one that was said to give chakra to the people of Earth, but Naruto did not know who that was. It was a long time ago, but judging from the time frame, Naruto speculated that it was when his parents had become the betrayers, as he wondered if this man called himself Sage of Six Paths was his father, making people of this earth see him as a god. After all, that was always what his father wanted, to become the Otsutsuki god. A rather difficult ritual, something that Naruto wouldn't bother even think about right now. But his father was quite in depth about it. But that doesn't leave where his mother would be. He knew that his mother and father never really liked each other. The only reason why they got together was for formalities, so that they could join the two houses together. But along the way perhaps they felt feeling for each other because if it wasn't for them he wouldn't be here. But yet they abandoned him and left him to be scorned by the others. But there wasn't much love in the beginning. He didn't really care about them, and they didn't seem to care about him. But he was grown. He was not some petulant child that would cry for his mother and father's love. But he still did not know who the Sage of Six Paths was. But there was this rumor that Kagami told him that it was a beast that the sage fought, a giant beast that was able to split the earth and drink the ocean. As Naruto figured that beast was a Jobe, but yet he could not feel that overwhelming presence anywhere, and if it was here, it was hiding really well. Kagami did tell him that some people were seeing some abnormal animals, larger than anything that they've ever seen before. Most had died, but some people were able to come back, but Kagami did not know if it was reality or not. And what Kagami said really got Naruto thinking about a new life. Did he really want to do this? Try to go and find the Jobe and absorb the power, and go back home and kill Momoshiki? If he did that, what would happen? The other houses would see him as a threat, and they wouldn't allow him to step foot inside without trying to challenge him. And he was unsure, even with the Jobe's power, that he could take on all the houses. There were a lot of them. And in doing so, he knew, despite what he said to Urza, she would try to help him, and she would end up getting killed. And he couldn't live with himself if he let something like that happen. So he didn't really know what to do. That was the only thing stopping him from going out to find these strange animals. And given the fact that people said that there was more than one of them, he wondered if this sage somehow managed to split the Jobe into different pieces. That was his thought at the moment anyway. As Naruto heard footsteps, he looked over as he saw Kushina walking towards him. "What are you doing?" she asked. As she looked around confused, beside her was a man named Takashi. He was a guard that was with Kushina. He was one of the few Uzumakis that knew how to fight. Most of them rely on sealing and their chakra chains, but he was a trained warrior. Takashi was surprised. "Is that gravity seal?" he said. As the man looked at Naruto, as Naruto got to his feet rather slowly, Kushina was shocked. "No, that's not possible. Last night you knew nothing about the art." "Who helped you?" she asked. "I'm afraid no one did," said Naruto. "Your book got me rather interested, so I decided to take a deeper dive into it." "But how?" said Takashi as he stepped forward. "You got them done perfectly." "I wouldn't do that if I were..." Naruto didn't get to finish his sentence. Takashi came too close and the man dropped towards his knees. Takashi started to cough violently, feeling like he was about to spit blood at any moment. As Kushina stepped forward and disrupted the chakra from the seals, as Takashi collapsed, breathing heavily. The man looked up at Naruto with shock. What was that?" "I intensified the seal's weight," said Naruto. As Kushina was looking at Naruto like she had seen a ghost. "I told you shouldn't have stepped forward so fast," said Naruto, "before I turned them off." As Takashi slowly sit on his butt, the man was shocked. He felt like a mountain was pressing down on him, and yet Naruto was standing and talking to them so casually. "But I just showed it to you last night," said Kushina. "Well, I guess I'm a natural," said Naruto. Watch this. His fingers glow as he wrote in the air. A seal formed out of nothing but his chakra as he sent it forward. It attached to a nearby rubble, and it exploded. But the explosion, the debris did not fire outward. The seal was not done. As strange, bursts of chakra-like threads emerged from the seal and grabbed each piece of debris and pulled the rock back together, like it wasn't even exploded a moment ago. Kushina was gawking to what she saw. "And you learned all of this last night?" As Naruto nodded, her eyes actually sparkled at that. As she stepped forward, "I've never in my life seen anyone adapt to sealing so quickly. You really are a natural at Fuinjutsu, considering that you were an earhead yesterday and didn't know anything about sealing art." "Thanks, I guess," said Naruto. "Come, we must tell my father," she said, as she grabbed his arm and started to pull him away, as Naruto didn't know what the big deal was. As Takashi got to his feet, the man was surprised. He heard from Kagami that Naruto was a wandering stranger. The Uzumakis were never one to ask about someone's past, to dive into someone's past to invade their privacy. Kagami would not ask, neither would Takashi. But this was more than what he expected. No one has ever picked up Fuinjutsu so quickly. From what Kushina had said, it was only last night that Naruto fully started diving into the art. As he looked over towards the rock and walked forward, he still couldn't believe the pressure that Naruto had on his shoulders, and yet he stood so tall talking to them. How was he to do something like that? Takashi rested his hand on the rock as the seal faded away. The rock was perfectly fine. As the seal, chakra, was able to glue it back together. As he picked it up and threw it, it dropped and cracked as all the pieces broke apart. Naruto was really something. Time skip. Minutes later, as Naruto scratched the back of his head, hearing Kushina fussing over him. As Kagami was smiling, he knew that his daughter loved sealing more than any other art in the world. Not to mention seeing someone like Naruto just snap into sealing so quickly. It was quite a shock for her. Not even the younger Uzumakis were able to adapt so quickly, and for Naruto to be able to create a gravity seal in just a couple of hours was truly remarkable. Calm down, Kushina-chan, said Kagami, as Kushina took a breath. As she looked towards Naruto, will this be your permanent home, she asked. As Naruto looked at her, she tilted her head waiting for an answer. As he did not respond, will it, she asked. As Naruto looked over towards Kagami, well, I guess that's up to the old man, he said. Well, for saving my daughter and my people, I would offer you a home in a heartbeat, Kagami said. You said that you wanted to start a new life. I assure you, Naruto, everything is up to you, he said. Well then, given this worn, torn world, and you guys are so incredibly nice, I don't see why not. Well then, we could adopt you into the Uzumaki clan and... Hold on, said Naruto. You're going a bit too fast. Oh, sorry, she said. It seemed Mito was right, said Naruto. About what, Kushina asked, with narrowed eyes as Kagami started to laugh, making Naruto laugh as well. Hey, about what, she asked. As he didn't answer her, they seemed to just laugh her off. The next day, the brothers were trailed, coming toward the spot where Madara and Hoshirama were. They trailed them. Tobirama and Aisuna followed their brothers in the shadow to find out what they were doing. When they arrived though, given that they had to stay behind for a long while, so their brothers would not find them, as their brothers were a lot faster, stronger, and could sense better than them, so they had to keep their distance. But when they arrived though, they were shocked to their core. Both of them arrived strangely at the same time. Aisuna did not waste any time when he saw Madara was forcefully slammed into the wall after he tried to attack this stranger. Hoshirama got to his feet as he flashed through hand signs, slamming his hand together, a stream of water nearby. The water shot forward to slam right into Naruto. As Tobirama and Aisuna watched with absolute shock as the stranger simply waved his hand and the water dissipated like it was nothing. Madara tried to send a right hook towards Naruto's face, but Naruto grabbed his arm and twisted, yanking him so hard Madara cried in pain. But Naruto wasn't done as he uppercut Madara up in the ear. They were sparring, but the brothers thought that this person was trying to kill them. A brutal knee slammed into Madara's stomach, forcing him to cough up blood as he was sent sailing as he crashed, flipping over the water surface, as Naruto dropped like a bomb. But Hoshirama got into the way, swinging a brutal kick towards Naruto's chest, who grabbed the leg like it was nothing and twisted, before battering him into the ground. It was then that Naruto saw several kunais coming towards him, but it was neither from Hoshirama or Madara. His hand started to glow as he sliced in the air, creating a vortex of wind that sliced the kunais into pieces. A sword then came down bearing inches away from his throat, as Naruto twisted and grabbed the silver hair boy arm, flinging the boy over his shoulder as he crashed him on the ground. Aisuna grabbed one of the remaining kunai he had in his pocket. He threw it towards Naruto to block his vision as he jumped and grabbed Madara by the shoulders. Madara and Hoshirama were shocked as Naruto batted away the kunai. They were shocked to see their brothers here. Aisuna, Tobirama. As Naruto looked at the two. So, these are your little brothers, said Naruto, as he narrowed his eyes. Elder brother, What's going on? Aizen asks, as he prepared himself to move once again. Is he trying to kill you? Asked Tobirama, as he narrowed his eyes at the stranger, as Tobirama held on to his blade tightly. Calm down, Tobirama, Hoshiyama said. He's not trying to kill us. He's helping us. Hoshiyama sighed. He never wanted it to happen this way. His brother was a lot different from him. He was more onto his father's side when it comes to strict behavior. So knowing that he was with an Uchiha, it was going to be difficult to, well, explain. A few hours later, as both boys seemed to be angry but yet they were calming down, it took a lot of talking to, a lot of promises about the future, about their plans, for the boys to calm down and listen to their elder brothers. But they did listen, even though they did not like each other. After all, the Senjus and the Uchihas has been warring for years now. So I guess you got the brats on track, said Naruto as he walked over, as Tobirama glared at him. This one is a rather feisty one. At any moment, he seemed like he wanted to attack me, as Tobirama had not released his blade. Tobirama, as I said, this is for the future. We're trying to build something different here. As Tobirama let his eyes settle on Naruto. Go ahead, said Naruto. You seem angry about me dropping you on the ground earlier. Why don't you try and get your revenge? Naruto, said Hoshiyama, as that was not wise. Given that Hoshiyama knew that Naruto was far superior to Tobirama in every single way, not to mention Tobirama but him as well. You know, if I just train you two guys, your brothers are gonna drop back. Perhaps they will get killed in the future, said Naruto, if they don't get stronger either. Both Madara and Hoshiyama started to think deeply about that, as Aizen narrowed his eyes. He still did not trust anyone here except for his brother. But his brother told him that they were trying to build a new future, a place where all of them could live as one, and not war, and no longer fight to kill each other, where kids would no longer be pushed into war and battle. And that sounded like something good. His father would never agree to something like that. His father would never even talk to a Senju so closely without going to battle. You know, for someone that does not like Uchihas, your red eyes make you look like one. That was the final straw, as Tobirama got to his feet. He moved forward to attack Naruto with his blade, as he swinged it, as Naruto raised his finger that was coated in chakra, as the blade clashed against his finger. Tobirama was shocked, as Naruto pulled it away from him, and twisted and grabbed the hilt as he brought it down. Tobirama felt his heart stop for a second as the blade was inches away from his throat. See? You're rash. You jump into something not knowing your enemy, said Naruto. That would have gotten you killed. But I like your feisty attitude. Nothing like Hoshiyama. You're one to get the job done. They're gonna need you in the future, said Naruto. But first thing first, you have to learn when you're out of your class, said Naruto as he stepped forward and flicked him across the forehead, as Tobirama sent sail as he crashed onto the ground. He picked himself up with a glare, rubbing his red forehead as he glared at Naruto with so much hate. I still like your feistiness, said Naruto. So what do you say, said Naruto. I could take on 2 more students. Perhaps they would be needed for the upcoming future. As he realized that Kagami was right. Training these boys, having 2 more students. As Naruto realized something right there. He actually liked to be a teacher. He never thought of that before. As he smiled. Later that day, the brothers went home and reported to their father that nothing strange happened. Nothing out of the midst happened. And whenever they could, they snuck away as well. And they trained, with Naruto's help. As Tobirama was always trying to prove that he was better than Aizuna. So when Naruto started to increase his training, it became a bit hard on him. And actually made him kind of fear Naruto a bit, and more respected him because he did not hold back when training him. But his training was deadly, and difficult as well. And if you did not meet his expectations, he would make sure that you were in a whirl of pain once he was done, to make you push harder next time to make sure that you go on. And so like that, time passed. Years passed indeed. As the years trickled down, the war between the Senjus and the Uchihas continued. until the death of Tajima and the death of Batsuma. With the leaders dying, their heirs were supposed to take over. And another thing happened as well. Given the fact that Kushina wanted to be the head of the clan, she would not marry outside the clan. So instead Mito, to strengthen the ties between the Senjus and the Uzumakis, Mito was gonna marry Hoshirama. In doing so, Naruto was able to visit the compound, the Senju compound, a rather large place. He visited when Batsuma was still alive. The man was curious about who Naruto was, but all of them said that Naruto was a Uzumaki like them. A new one, but a Uzumaki. As Naruto was rather surprised about that, he never expected him to say that. And Naruto also became best friends with Takashi. The man was always curious about Naruto because he saw Naruto as a enigma, a fun enigma to hang out with, as Naruto could do some amazing things. And over the 3 or 4 years that passed, Naruto has also gotten stronger. Certain things that he never knew, certain things that he never thought of would, well, happen. He learned many different things. Not to mention he saw many different clans. There was a Yuki clan, as they were able to perform ice. There was a Terumi clan. They were able to mix their abilities to perform lava. There was so much more of them. The Senjus, they were allies of the Sarutobes. The Sarutobi clan was a rather calm clan. They said to have contact with summoning animals, monkeys. That was another thing. They had summoning creatures, monkeys. As the years trickled down, Naruto heard more and more rumors about these monsters rising up and being seen all over. It got his curiosity peaked, so he decided to investigate. That is why, as Naruto was currently strolling through the forest, making his way towards where he heard the last rumor, he was alone. The boys hadn't come for much training lately, given the fact that they were deep in clan matters, as they took over for their respective fathers after their death. And they were trying to find a way to make sure all of the Senjus and Uchihas lived through peacefully, because if they just start the alliance so quickly, things would not look so, well, they would not accept it so easily. They have to find a way to sort out things between their clan first. They had to show the people that the either clan was not so bad. But that was going to be hard for the Uchihas, who hated the Senjus with every fiber of their being. But Naruto wasn't bothered by that. That did not concern him. As long as the Uzumakis were alright, he was fine. Those people accepted him. Those people took him inside their home, something he greatly appreciated. But as he was making his way, he heard screams. Screams of anguish and pain. As Naruto felt it, shocker that he never felt before. This was definitely not being used by a human. As Naruto shot forward, his speed bursting through the trees. As Naruto landed over a ridge looking down, where he saw a small village. At the edge of the village there was sand, so much sand, and that was strange because this was a forest area. The sand was not, it wasn't just normal sand, it was alive. Strange blue markings over it. As Naruto saw the creature tearing everything apart, it turned and slammed its tail down as a sonic wave of air pressure was released that decimated buildings. A small child was being pushed around as Naruto saw her mother distance away, who was screaming out her name. The creature laughed as he stepped forward as Naruto vanished. The giant tanuki brought his tail down. It was stopped as Shukaku was shocked by that. As a second copy of Naruto landed on the ground, something that he learned from Tobirama, Shadow Clone Jutsu. It picked up the child and handed it towards the mother, who thanked Naruto greatly. As the mother ran off, along with the other people, as Shukaku swinged its tail. But Shukaku's eyes went wide when he was picked up and thrown with tremendous force straight out of the village as he crashed off into the forest. Shukaku was dizzy for a moment as he picked himself up. Who the hell just did that, he asked, looking around. Naruto was surprised because the giant monster sounded like a child. A small child, as he landed on Shukaku's nose. Sorry about that, but I had to get your attention somehow. Shukaku shook his head violently and threw Naruto off. He then slammed both of his hands into his stomach. As he opened his mouth, a sonic ear wave came out that tore through the forest and slammed right into Naruto. Shukaku watched as that small human was blown into the ground with tremendous force. As Shukaku laughed, he turned his sights back on the village. It was then that he felt something slam into his gut. Shukaku felt the pain riddle through his entire body as he was once again thrown. This time he crashed violently as Naruto landed right on his nose, looking deep into his eyes. You know, that was not very nice. Shukaku raised his arm as Naruto brought his leg up and slammed it into Shukaku's head. As the sand dent, Shukaku's body crashed, breaking further deep into the earth. As he whined in pain, he flashed around. He flashed around trying to get Naruto off of him, but Naruto gripped onto him tight. As Naruto raised his hands to the sky, 4 giant black rods were created as he dropped his hand. They pierced through Shukaku's arms and legs, pinning him to the ground. Sorry, but you left me no other choice. I'll kill you, Shukaku said. I'll rip you apart. Wait till I get my hands on you. Sorry, but you can't exactly move, said Naruto. As Shukaku growled as he tried to bite Naruto, only for Naruto to stomp on him once again. Are you gonna listen now? He tried to move, but yet he could not. So Naruto simply sat on his stomach. As Shukaku found that he could not turn his stomach into sand to grab this human that was sitting on him, this disrespectful, puny, insignificant human. These rods were affecting him in more ways than one. His body was thin, but yet he could not turn it into sand. He could not dissolve and re-emerge. What did you do to me? He asked. Are you gonna calm down? Shukaku tried to bite him again. So Naruto sat on his stomach, ignoring him. Until an hour or so passed, where Shukaku stopped moving around, where he just lay there. As Naruto walked over to realize that the sand creature was asleep, snoring like a small child. As Naruto's sweat dropped, was this real the monster that everyone was talking about? As he went over and poked Shukaku in the forehead, Shukaku yawned. Where am I? He said. Oh yeah. His eyes focused on Naruto. You human, he said, as he tried to bite Naruto once again. That again? What do you want? Free me! You know, if you keep on causing havoc like this, people are gonna find a way to hurt you, or maybe even kill you. I cannot be killed, said Shukaku. None of these puny humans can. Well, I subdued you, said Naruto. Can you get free? Shukaku growled at him. Who are you? No human has ever hurt me this way before. Let's just say I'm not human, said Naruto. You're not human, Shukaku said, as he narrowed his eyes. And why should I believe you? Believe me if you want, said Naruto. But I truly am not human. But you are different. You were the Jube, weren't you? Shukaku's eyes narrowed. How do you know that? He asked, as he looked at Naruto curiously. Well, I heard the Sage of Six Paths fought this monster. And those make perfect sense. I guess my speculations were right. He did split the Jube into different pieces. How much of you are there? Do you know my father? Shukaku said. Your father? You mean the sage? Naruto asked. Title humans give him, but he's my father, said Shukaku. Huh. I'm surprised, said Naruto, for Otsutsuki to care about such animals. My father's last name, you know it. Who are you exactly? Shukaku asked. Well, let's just say I'm like your father. I'm where he came from. You're where my father came from? Judging from that reaction, Naruto was sure that this thing did not know that the Sage of Six Paths was Otsutsuki. Perhaps he did not know. Could you tell me more about your father? Naruto asked. My father was the greatest, but he died. And he left us, saying that we must be guardians and watch over these humans. Shukaku snarled, but they attacked me. I was resting and sleeping as usual, and I was attacked for no reason. So I decided to attack them back, and they died. And they still attacked me, so I decided to attack them back once again. And now they're afraid of me. And as they should be, Shukaku said, looking quite proud as he said that. It's not my place to say if you can kill humans or not, said Naruto. But I need you to stay away from a couple of places. And why would I do that, said Shukaku. Because if you don't, I will have to hurt you. And judging by your behavior, you're not a bad person. I'm not a person. Well, you sure have sentience. And you have feelings, otherwise you wouldn't get angry at the people attacking you. So yeah, you're pretty much a person. Never thought of it that way before, said Shukaku. As Naruto snapped his fingers, the black rod vanished. Shukaku narrowed his eyes. What if I were to eat you now? I doubt you could, said Naruto. You know, I always wonder what should I do if I found someone like you. And now I made my mind. What are you talking about? Oh, nothing for you to worry about, said Naruto. But before anything, can you tell me, how much of you are there? 9, Shukaku said. But they're in different places. Why do you want to know? Oh, nothing much. By the way, the name is Naruto. My name is Shukaku. You are the first human that could ever put me down to the ground like that. And for that I kind of respect you. And also, I feel strange being around you. It feels like when I was around my father, Shukaku said. As Naruto pat him on the head. And Shukaku, remember the sage talking to him. Just like father, he said. As Naruto was surprised, this wasn't what he expected. The bloodthirsty monster that people talk about just seemed like a small child. Perhaps the others weren't so bad either. Time skip. 2 years passed as Mito was currently 18. She had been spending more time at the new village called Konoha. For a time there, things looked like it was about to fall apart. Aisuna had died in battle, and Madara refused to talk to Oshirama, as there was another group of Senjus. The battle was still going on despite the both of them trying to quell it. Madara had awakened a new set of eyes, the Mangekyou Sharingan, which he started to fight with even more vigorously. As Tobirama realized that Madara was no longer feigning ignorance, he was actually fighting to kill. As he told Hoshirama to fight back with his full power, but Hoshirama refused to do so. Hoshirama has gotten incredibly strong, far stronger than Madara that Naruto knew. He was able to use Mokiton, merging water and earth together to create wood style. And Madara's power was intense as well. Using the eyes, he construct something called Susanoo, a powerful construct of power, but he was still no match. And the Uchihas were brought down. Tobirama was about to kill him, but Hoshirama stopped it. He was about to give his life, but Madara stopped it. And thus led to the peace between the clans. It was hard at first, but they managed to get things through. Merging the clans mean creating what they always wanted, their village. Things were wonderful. The village was built. In these 2 years though, Kagami was struck with an illness, something that seemed to run in his family, despite his powerful Uzumaki lineage that could not fight it off. As everyone, all of the Uzumakis, even Hoshirama came to the funeral. As Hoshirama well knew that Naruto was a part of the Uzumaki clan now, as he was living there full time. But Naruto was the person that trained him, a sensei to him, something that he really appreciated. But Konoha had grown, and it was big now, as they were getting other clans to join. But in doing so, other factions around the world started to build their own hidden villages. It wasn't anything yet, but it was growing, every now and then. Kushina was able to take over for her father after his passing. She also started to research more about the illness that ran in her family. It was what took her grandmother away from her, and she wasn't sure if she would end up getting that illness, or her kids if she had any. Kushina was so focused on her work, she never managed to find love. Now, in her late 20s, she come to realize that. But she come to realize that someone has always been there for her, through her father's death, through everything. The mysterious stranger that showed up one day that saved her life was the one that she was falling for. And despite so many years passing, he has barely aged. She found out about his lineage and how he took a long while to age. Not to mention he was the only one in the clan that could rival her when it comes towards Fuinjutsu. Perhaps he was even better than her in some regards, because his handmanship was perfect. as the both of them were sitting on the roof. It wasn't that hard to run her clan. She kept everything stable and the Senjus were a big help. With Konoha growing, the exchange program was starting. Uzumakis would go to Konoha to live there, and Senjus would come towards the village at Uz to live there as well. It was just going to be a few people at first, after all they were just starting out. But it was something good. She was happy how things had come along far. She had just hoped her father was here to see it. But tonight was a very special night for her, as she was finally gonna do what she wanted to do. She was a grown woman and yet she was nervous. It was like she was a child. "You seem nervous," said Naruto, as the both of them were on the roof. She looked away, as Naruto seemed to laugh. Being around him now made her feel like when she was just a small child, and he used to tease her. But now those feelings had developed into something different. "I'm not getting any younger," she said. "Well, you have surely grown into a beautiful woman," said Naruto, as she has. She was quite stunning, and yet she never picked up a suitor, as Naruto told her that her work would be the death of her. As she worked too much, she was like a workaholic. But she was always trying to make things better for the clan, and the Uzumakis were living comfortably. Everyone loved her, everyone respected her, so she had no reason to act this way, thinking that she had to devote everything to the clan. She had a personal life as well. "Naruto," she said. As Naruto looked towards her, "What is it?" he asked. "Through these years, you've been there for me by my side, sticking by my side even in my worst time. You've done nothing but help our clan, and help me as well. You've never truly accepted yourself as a Uzumaki because you've never taken our name. That is why I want to ask you, will you allow me to adopt you into our clan and call you Naruto Uzumaki?" As Naruto looked towards her, he has never truly took the name, and she was right. But given how long he has been here and how the people loved him, he didn't see what the problem was. He smiled, and that made her happy. "You know that I can't marry outside my clan because I'm the clan head, right?" she said to him. "That is why my sister had to marry Hoshirama." "Correct," said Naruto. "I was wondering, you know that I love children, and you always tease me about my personal life," she said with her cheeks red. "Would you mind?" as she whispered something. "What was that?" said Naruto. She whispered something once again. "I didn't hear you," he said. "Do you want to go on a date with me?" she asked. Well, she rather shouted, as Naruto looked towards her surprised. "If you don't want to, it's okay," she said. "I'm not forcing you to do anything, although I could, considering that I am the leader of the clan. And you're now a Uzumaki," she said, as she tried to put in a joke to make the situation less awkward, because he was not talking. Yes, he was not saying anything. As Naruto looked towards her, his face was serious. "You do understand that my body physically will not grow old with you," he said. She knew that. She thought about that. Despite the Uzumaki's, longevity, she will grow old and he would be young. Something that she would kill for, to be still beautiful while old. But still, she wanted to give this a try. "It doesn't matter," she said. "As long as we come to have feelings for each other, more than what I feel right now, it will do." "I never expected this," said Naruto. "Little tomato, growing so big and being so bold," said Naruto. "Stop calling me that," she said. "What? It's your nickname," said Naruto, as he laughed a bit. "Well, I wouldn't oppose to being the husband of the beautiful Kushina-chan," he said, a smile, as that brought a smile towards her face. As Naruto really had nothing against the idea. She was a wonderful girl, and if she was okay with knowing that he would not grow old as her, he could live with that. They could have a wonderful life, no matter how long it lasted. But as he was thinking toward the future, dark corners were ahead. Someone was in the shadows, twisting, turning things towards their favor, to bring havoc on the ninja world. And soon enough, this world, because of their action, was gonna see the wrath of Naruto Otsutsuki. It's been a long time since he showed this world that he was the most powerless Well, he hasn't showed them since his battle with the Kaguyas, who remember it quite well. But this time, when the trouble started, the entire world would see who Naruto Otsutsuki was. After all, over the past few years he has only gotten stronger and stronger. And at this moment, he was basically a god, walking amongst men. So yeah guys, I'm gonna end this episode right here. If you enjoyed and want to see the next part, go ahead and comment down below and tell me that you want to see it guys. And I'll be posting it as soon as possible. But for now, I'm out of here. See you guys soon. Peace.